So where do we get the linguistic model of having an incurable illness? It's from a superstitious religious model of demonic possession. It's a variety of forms of hypochondria, again, mild panic, hysteria, paranoia, anxiety. Hypochondria is imaginary issues or deluded perceptions, believing that diagnostic labels are substances rather than just labels. It's actually an intellectual or spiritual distinction. Believing that diagnostic labels are substances is delusion. It's hypochondria. I'm possessed by cavities or something. I'm possessed by baldness. That's not. That's imprecise. It's valid, but it's not accurate. It's not as accurate as other language. So, believing that diagnostic labels are substances rather than just labels is hypochondria. Believing that diagnostic labels are substances rather than just labels is hypochondria. So here's some examples. I have cavitosis. No, there's just the presence of various minerals in various amounts naturally results in partial teeth rather than full teeth. I am possessed by incurable diabeticitis. Diabeticitis. There it is. I don't know how to pronounce these things. If I can pronounce a word, I know what it means, right? Fully comprehend it because I can pronounce it. I am possessed by incurable diabeticitis. Well, that's superstitious hypochondria. No, there's just the presence of various amounts of sugar in the blood, perhaps related to diet. How about this one? I'm possessed by incurable obesitosis, an inflammation of the obesity. No, again, there's just the presence of various substances, perhaps related to the diet. There's no substance obesity. There's no possession by incurable obesity. It's a label. It's a diagnostic label. It's a unit of language. It's for convenience. So what else? I'm possessed by the demon of incurable baldness. No, there's no presence of baldness. There's just the presence of skin and the absence of any healthy, productive hair follicles. Or they're getting, somebody's shaving their head bald. Like people shave their face and their legs or whatever. So if you want to get rid of the demon of incurable baldness that's possessing you, you can get implants or get a wig or change your diet or whatever. So no one's been possessed by a demon of incurable disease. It's never happened. There's never been a demon of incurable disease. It's just a convenience in language like heaven and hell and any other word, like the distant past and the recent past. These are just categories in language. Perfectly useful, extremely valid, always only so precise, only as precise as they are. So no one has ever been possessed by tooth decay, or by a contagious obesity, or by a contagious cavity taking over their teeth, or by an emptiness in their stomach, or by a stomach. You're not possessed by a full stomach or by blood sugar or whatever. Tooth decay is not the presence of something, but the diagnostic label for the absence of a diet rich in minerals. And tooth decay is also the label for the symptoms or natural consequences of such a diet that's deficient in minerals or absent, in which certain minerals are not present. So the model of demonic possession by incurable diagnostic labels is a totally superstitious, idolatrous language, innocently practiced by many mainstream believers of the religion of modern medical science. Science. There's a image there. That's the image I began with. Again, on the left, the word decay, pointing to this area where basically you have a partial tooth instead of a full tooth. And they're saying, where there's no tooth right there, that's where there is decay. Well, that's just a label. There's no real decay. There's just less tooth than there used to be, or than there may be in the future, depending on what dietary practices someone explores. There's a link there to curetoothDecay.com by Ramiel Nagel. Haven't purchased it, haven't read it, but I'm aware of the basic logic of it and the basic premise, and also read several testimonials. And for several years I've been practicing a traditional diet, or a primitive diet that corresponds more to what humans did for the many, many thousands of years that tooth decay and cavities were extremely rare. If you go to that link right under the red tooth decay image On that link there are pictures of skulls, and it shows how skulls used to have full sets of teeth, like almost all the time. Anthropologists, archaeologists recognize that human skulls used to be much more dense. Bones used to be more dense. Teeth used to be much healthier. Why? Because diets were very different. More than 10,000 years ago, there wasn't agriculture. There wasn't even a whole lot of domestication of animals. There was a lot of wild, really healthy wild animals. So there you go. That's the myth of incurable illness. A medical culture of worshipping demonic possession by hypochondria. I'm possessed by hypochondria. Feel free to share this with other people. Comment as you wish. This is J.R. Fibonacci. Thanks for checking out this particular composition and construction in language.